Hey gang, I cannot believe it's been 20 years since my aha moment. Yes, boy, do I feel old, but I want to reminisce a little bit here with you because it definitely hasn't always been easy. As I say, it's been rewarding. You can't have a diamond without putting a lot of pressure on, I guess, a piece of coal. So I've definitely had that along the way. I remember, uh, it really did take almost a trifecta of events to come together to hit me against the head after I kept seeing this stuff saying, duh, Tom, when are you going to believe it? So one of the first times is I had a patient that came in bent over backwards because of back pain. That's from an anterior disc bulge, which is very rare to see. She came in from the doctor's office next door, and I was like, you can't just, and she came in to buy a therapy ball. And I said, you need more than a therapy ball. So I tried to treat her. And after 45 minutes of basically her yelling and screaming and me sweating from her yelling and screaming, because I was trying to do translations and all this McKenzie stuff on it. It didn't work. And finally I just said, I give up. You wanted to lay over a therapy ball. I don't have a therapy ball, but I'll just position myself with my one knee up on the other knee, and you can lay over it. And she did, and she got about 3 minutes after doing that, and she was like 80% better, just going into the way her body wanted to go. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Didn't think a lot about it. A couple days later, patient comes in. I'm heading out to lunch, and this person's coming in, can't barely open the doors, crunched over with a posterior disc bulge. And I said, wow, do you mind if I help you? I know you're coming to see my other therapist, but I think I'll help you in a couple minutes. And I said, you're wanting to bend forward, right? She goes, yes, it makes me feel so good, but I'm told I'm not supposed to. And I said, well, if you trust me, will you try something with me? And I said, go ahead and bend forward further and see what happens. And she did. In about, 45 seconds, minute later, she stood back up, and she too was 80% better. And I was like, this is crazy. Look at what we're witnessing here. And I was like, this is cool, but opposite what I'm used to seeing or studying or been told. And I go, okay, that's pretty cool. So when they're crooked, I kind of knew what to do. But I was like, majority of patients you see don't come into you crooked. And I was like, what do I do then? And literally about a week later, lady comes in. She was 68 years old. She wanted to dance at her daughter's wedding, and she had severe back pain. When I asked her to bend forward, she couldn't even slide her hands below her thighs. She couldn't get below her knees. She was pretty severely restricted. At that time, on initial visits, I would do 4 different assessments. I found out she had 3 asymmetries in her spine. Her shoulder didn't work very well. She couldn't get out of the chair without slightly using her hands, and obviously bending forward was a problem. And I said, is there anything else you need to tell me before I start? And she goes, yeah, for the last 3 years, I haven't been able to go up a step leading with my right foot. I always go left, then right, left, then right. And I said, okay. And I put a 9-inch step against the wall, and I said, show me. And she took the left one, no problem, put the right one up, tried to step, nothing. It was almost like, I don't know, her brain was telling her what to do, but it wasn't doing anything. I was standing off to the side, and I said, no, this can't be. Lawrence Jones from Strain Counter Strain, what's now in Counter Strain now, said, if it's crooked, make it crookeder. And I said, well, there it is. She looks straight normally, but she's crooked. So do I use the good side or the bad side to try to fix her? I said, well, everybody always uses the bad side. I'm going to use the good side because everything was reversed what I learned in the other 2. So I said, well, you do 3 sets of 15. And I thought, even though she's been using that side more, can this really work? We did 3 sets of 15. When we got done, I put the step was there. I said, will you try that again? And she went to do the step. She did it so fast on her right side that she hit the wall with her nose, right? We laughed, and she said, what's that? I said, I don't know, but do you mind if I reassess those other points? Her shoulder was better. Her asymmetry was gone. She could get out of the chair without using her hands. Instead of being able to bend only to her knees with her hands, she went all the way down to her shins. And I said, oh my gosh, there it is. If their motions, left versus right side, are crooked, they're crooked. Do what works better. Do what the body's doing more of. And that's where TMR started. And let me tell you, it hasn't all been easy by any means. Oh my gosh, I have gotten attacks. I've been told things that when you're trying to bring something new out, wow, the skepticism is unreal. I remember that prior to teaching this to clinics in 2005, these are the kind of things that I had happen. I tried to show my staff. They wanted nothing to do with it. I eventually converted my entire practice over to TMR and lost half my staff and half my revenue because I wanted that place to be the mothership of TMR. Yes, I'm persistent or stubborn, but I knew it felt like the right thing to do. I remember I almost lost my house twice trying to bring this to fruition. But somehow I persisted and I kept saying, I want to show this to other clinicians. Now, I went what I did is I wrote a bunch of emails out to area clinicians. I called them, anything. I wanted to get some people in, and I was going to offer them a free seminar if they would just come for 2 days. If they just take the time, I was like, if they did, oh my gosh, that would be a benefit in and of itself. And so 5 instructors came one weekend. I didn't charge them because I was too scared to. And we had a great time. It was unbelievable, the changes. One lady cried and she said, Tom, if I had known this prior, she'd been out 25 or 30 years. She goes, wow, what a different world it would have been. I could have fixed so much. And she teared and she goes, I could have fixed so many more people. I said, well, I guess now you know better. But the reason I was so scared is because 2 days before this event, I went over to practice to kind of share with one of them, just kind of going in there that, that I wanted them to see it and see what they thought. I wanted to have a little pre-run before I had this seminar. And the lady just about kicked me out. Well, she did kick me out with her eyes, like, get out of here. Because the guy came in with back pain, one of her patients. He was bent over. I tried to bend him over further, telling her about it. I didn't do it. I told her about it. She looked at me like, that's insane. That'll never work. Why don't you leave? So I did. But luckily, again, I had enough courage. I got that one done. I then tried to say, I want to go get approvals. When I went to get approvals, a guy that sat on the South Carolina Physical Therapy Board actually wrote back to me and said, you're an embarrassment to the profession. You need to remove PT from your name, your initials from your name. I started sending out emails once I got approved to a bunch of places and got the same type of response. So, gang, besides developing the concept along the way, the outer environment could be pretty cruel. All right. But again, I'm so grateful actually for all those times because it made me keep plugging away. It made me realize that this isn't going to be easy. Nothing ever is. It's rewarding. And anyways, this is how we made it here. And I got to share one last story because this seemed to be the thing that kind of turned the corner for us, and people began believing us. There's 2 things that go along with this because there's a forum. I think it's still out there. It might be not as popular as it once was, called Rehab Edge, and in it, people, I started putting my stuff out there and telling people what I was doing, and wow, did I get attacked. In fact, you can go look in 2006 on Rehab Edge. You can Google it, and you'll see the amount of back and forth. And it was crazy. I was like, wow. And when you kind of getting attacked, you want to attack back. But I kind of made the decision, I'm gonna meet them with love, I guess. Yeah, kill them with kindness. And I kept being nice. Kept responding back. And finally, one of them said, oh my gosh, Tom's too nice to keep attacking, right? And they got a little kinder, but they still were. It was pretty brutal still. And finally, I said, oh my gosh, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put out 3 videos, the arm raise, the trunk twist, and leg raise. And I'm going to ask them, look, go and try this. If it works, come back and tell us about it. If it doesn't work, come back and tell us about it. Well, you know what? It ended the conversation. Literally, it's the last thing I think on that spool or that thread. And I assume I go, well, they must have gone and tried it, and it worked, or they didn't try it all and they end the conversation. But it was kind of cute. And that was the beginning part. I realized I'm not gonna make this a winner if I attack people who are attacking me. But the really fun one that really made me realize I've got something here and people want to hear it is there's a chiropractor about 2 hours from me, had just had shoulder surgery. And he set up a camera in front of himself because he was going to prove that this total motion release stuff was absolutely wrong. He just had surgery. He was given permission to get out of the sling, and he was going to show that it didn't work. And so he stood in front of the camera. He showed what he couldn't do on his surgical, just recently operated on side. He then proceeded to tell how he didn't think this was going to work, but he's going to try it anyways. And so he went over and did 2 sets on his good side, and then went over and he's talking like this. It isn't going to work. I'm going to show you right now. And he went to lift up this side, and it went full range. And his mouth dropped, and he goes, "Oh my goodness." And I think he even said, "I guess I owe Tom an apology." He stopped the video, and he called me. And he said, "Tom, I owe you an apology. I'm going to send you the video I just did." He goes, "Will you watch it for me?" Because I didn't know what he was contacting me for. And he said, "So, needless to say, I'm a believer." He became a big fan of mine. He was an instructor for one of the instrument-assisted, soft tissue mobilization seminar companies. And he introduced me to one of the other lead instructors. And we got together, and I was showing him how you could, quote, scrape away from the area of injury, not even on the area of injury, to other parts of the body and get the better and oftentimes quicker. And they said, "Really cool. Can you show me what to do during a seminar?" And we showed them how to pull up 5 people with a shoulder problem and scrape different areas, like the other arm, one of the legs, the other leg. And they did that. They bring up 4 or 5 people every seminar, do something that wasn't even on the area of injury, and they got better, right? And so it was at that time that I realized, wait, now people who are at least in a